'Tis lovely, Hilia, isn't it? 'Tis. Frank McCourt went ahead and wrote this sequel called Tis, when his book Endless Ashes became one of the most popular books out of all time. He tried to be a writer, and now he finally had his chance. In the past, he went ahead and wrote only when he could, because he was a teacher. Now he could write whenever he wanted. And now that he wrote this sequel to one of the most popular books in the entire world, he probably went ahead and turned himself into one of the most famous people in the entire world. It goes ahead, talks about his life from 22 years old, all the way, well, to his mid-40s. Something like that. And along the way, we just go ahead and learn a lot about Frank McCourt, as well as the American dream, along with other Irishmen who went ahead and started living the American dream. So here's the thing. Frank McCourt goes ahead and tells us a lot about the American dream. There is a lot that we actually don't really know about people as well too. People go to America back then because they're told there you can start a new life. You can go ahead and do something new. Once you get once you get there, you realize that there are too many people who are like you. You're classified as an alien, even though you literally have an American passport. And then you go ahead and you have to wait for a few hours, go ahead and get through all the possible legal and health stuff. Afterwards, you're allowed to enter the United States of America! And then there's so much more that happens there. Once you get there too, they're not that very nice as well too. Your English is not that good, so unfortunately I understand your accent. And when you try to speak like a proper British man, or at least an American, or at least a British. Like, you try to speak like an American, but you try at least your best to speak at least British. And then people will say, "Is that Irish I hear? Is that an Irish accent I hear?" Of course, with all this, you go ahead and you're pretty annoyed. Dang, that's actually a lot of things that you can learn and hear from a lot of these people. But of course, there's a lot of people who went ahead and did lots of things too. Frank McCourt just shows us the classic American life. Mainly because, well, his life in America was the one that was actually kind of promised to him. It started off as something that wasn't promised. In fact, he wasn't living the American dream. His brothers were living them. But Frank McCourt, was stuck being a teacher. And since he was stuck being a teacher, there's so much that he could do. And then, of course, he went ahead, got a marriage, but then, well, a few months after the marriage, they literally got divorced with his wife, so he literally went to a new wife. And he also had to witness things such as his mother dying. Since his mother died, he went ahead and to her funeral, but when the youngest son, Alfie, invited him to their father's funeral, he was kind of mad, but then he realized maybe the old man did change, and so he went off there too. None of the other sons ever went. So why should you kind of read this book? There's kind of a lot of reasons to not read this book as well too. It's pretty old, and apparently the book itself, almost no one wants to read it nowadays. In fact, when I first mentioned the book, the other people, they're like, "What's this? That's not even English." And I told them it is, but now, no, it's not. They Google it, realize it's English. So I get to win a lot of bets. Anyways, the point is, this book goes ahead and dives into the classic hero's journey. Except instead of a hero's journey in a fantastical rise, you go ahead and experience real life. People get to learn things. People get to go ahead and find things. You get to go ahead and learn that some people are terrible at other things, and while you learn that other people go ahead and do things for a living. You learn about the world, at least you learn about some history, and you also learn about the perfect person in the entire world as well too. It's also quite entertaining in this book, and what I guarantee that once you open this book, if you can understand every dang word of it, it's pretty easy to go ahead and do that, then you will have a hearty time, a merry time going ahead and reading this book. But you have to read Endless Ashes first, or else you probably get a little bit lost. But you don't actually need to read Endless Ashes. About all the content from Endless Ashes that you need to know to read the current book it's all written over there as well too. You don't even need to read it. It's a standalone. It's also a sequel, but it's also a standalone novel as well too. And then of course we go ahead and we get the novel Teacher Man. And I haven't read this book yet, but I heard it's great. And since I liked the previous two books, well, I expect a lot from this book. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Tell me in the comments below why you think you should go ahead and read Frank McCourt's This and Endless Ashes. Teaching, marriages, recollections, memoirs, all this all this, just is this all worth it? It's actually kind of outdated, this genre, where an Irishman goes to America and he comes back and becomes the most successful person in Ireland. That's actually kind of one of the oldest genres actually existed ever since America existed and Ireland existed, that is. That's kind of also outdated. So how did this thing even get popular is my question. Well, it's style. It's very simple. Anyone, even a commoner who hasn't went to high school, can read it. In fact, Frank McCourt never went to high school himself, too. Also, somehow he became a college professor. And that is it. So I'll see you guys soon. And so until next time, Shanana, peace. Bye bye. Note: I do not promote not going to high school. I do not promote dropping out of high school. Also, nowadays, if you do drop out of high school, you probably cannot go to college.